Hello, how are you doing? So, I was talking to my son about if I were president, what I would do. And so, I just wanted to pose that question. There's a rumor going around saying that he going to shut down the Department of Education. Obviously, he can't do that. But let's say hypothetically, if he could, for me, if I were president, I wouldn't shut down Department of Education, but I would make it optional. This is a democratic society, and although I'm an educator, and yes, I am very passionate about education, my son, I'm very strict with his attendance. From the time he was in kindergarten, I could truly say kindergarten, he was only absent twice. He was sick, and then it was like really cold one day, and nobody sent their kids to school. But from first grade all the way to eighth grade, perfect attendance. Like, even with COVID, like, I made sure he was online, the 2 little days he had to go in, I made sure he was there. When he went to Catholic school during COVID, he was in school every day. Like, eighth grade, when I graduated with my bachelor's, and he was in eighth grade, I let him miss a day to come to my graduation. That was like the first time I let him be absent. And whatchamacallit, ninth grade, full attendance, never absent. He finally was absent last year, and he was so late that they turned him around, because in his school, if you come after 9:30, you mark absent. But even though I pushed that for my son, right, I don't think that about everybody. I'm not the type of person that, oh, the way I do things, you have to do it. Most people have that mindset. Like, I call it like a Nazi thing, like do or die. No, just because I live a certain way or I have certain beliefs, just like I believe in God, right? But that doesn't say, oh, everybody should believe in God. Everybody doesn't necessarily need God. And what I mean by that is, I pray to God, things happen. Some people pray to God and things don't happen for them. It don't. Or things happen for them, and you have some people that have never prayed to God at all, and they're very successful. So obviously, but so I believe in education. I believe that it's important, because I know for me, I could be honest enough to say I would not be homeschooling my child. When COVID happened and everybody was like, oh, I'm a homeschool my kid, not me. I know that I'm not that smart. I could admit that. I'm a smart woman, but I'm not that smart where I could sit down and teach my son. I know somebody who, she was determined to teach her children, and they're behind. She said they're behind now. So obviously you don't know what you're doing, and your kids are behind. My son not behind, like, just saying. And that's because I push school. At the end of the day, leave it to the professionals. I listen to my son's teachers. And that's how he became successful, because I listen to people who know better than me. But I digress. But yeah, so I feel like school should be optional, because our grandparents and our great-grandparents, they did not have high school diplomas, and they owned homes. Some of them had businesses. Some of them had jobs. Or all of them had jobs. And they did very well for themselves, right? So now it's like, you need a high school diploma to do sanitation. You need an associate's to be a cop. Like, I think that's really ridiculous when you think about it. Even with security, I'll never forget my first security job. I worked at Yankee Stadium. Do you know I had to show my high school diploma? Like, why do I need a diploma to look at people and say, hello, welcome to Yankee Stadium? Like, that don't make sense. Now, certain jobs, yes, like what I do, I'm an assistant teacher, so I'm a para. I work in a classroom with kids. For my job, yes, you should need a diploma. But things like security, sanitation, come on. So I feel that it should go back to the old days as far as certain jobs you shouldn't need a diploma. And that's just my opinion. Like, even to be a cop, why do you need education to be a police officer? It don't take education to work the streets. You got to be street smart. You have to have intuition. You have to have, you know what I mean? It takes other type of intelligence other than academic to for a lot of these jobs. Like, why do I need, like, I have my bachelor's to work with migrants, and this is not throwing shade, but if you're working with the migrants and you're a case manager, why do you need a bachelor's? Feel me? Like, just certain things. Like, why does a person need a master's degree to teach kindergarten? Like, I don't know if y'all know that, but to be a teacher in New York City specifically, now you don't need a master's in Florida, but in New York City you need a master's to be a teacher for the Department of Education. So let's say, you know, you want to be a pre-K teacher or kindergarten, you still have to have your master's. I don't think that's right. Like, to teach kindergarten, come on now, you know. But I feel like, and then when the pandemic happened, the mayor was like, oh, no remote option. I thought that was very wrong, because some kids get bullied and they don't like going to school. School is a nightmare for them. So the remote option is, you know, is helpful to some kids, not all. But I feel like they should have a remote option. I feel like if a 16-year-old, if they do a crime, they go to adult prison. But you don't graduate high school till you're 18. You're not considered a real adult until you're 18. I feel like the adult age should be 16. I feel like it shouldn't be 4 grades in high school. It should be 2. And they should condense it. Like, you need to turn every high school into vocationals. You need to have, you know, because the way they have it is you graduate high school, then you go to trade school. I feel like they need to bring more trades into the high schools. This way, when you graduate high school, you can have a job, right? Why are you just putting it in select high schools with the trades? You need to put it in all high schools. Like, if I was the president, I would make sure that would happen. You know, this way, when you're 18 years old, you have a career. Boom. I feel like if somebody want to be a nurse, then they should have nursing programs where when you graduate high school, you could be an LPN. I feel like they have that program already. Quote me. Anyway, you can comment, like, and subscribe if you know any programs like that. But that's my question for tonight. If you were president, what would you do about our education system? For me, I feel like it should be optional. Even though, yes, I am very strong-headed when it comes to education, I don't think you should call ACS on a parent because the child is not in school. I work with special needs kids, and I don't know if I said this in a previous video, but I had spoke to a parent who she felt that they were taking advantage of her son. She saw some stains that she ain't like, and he was nonverbal in a wheelchair, so she kept him home. They accused her of educational neglect. Now, mind you, his disorder, he doesn't know what's going on. You have children that their disorders are so severe that they do not know what's going on. They cannot comprehend. They don't know letter sounds. They don't know anything. Alphabet, nothing. So that was him. And I've seen that. I've worked in D75 with children that, and D75 is District 75, which is children of severe disorders in a school setting, instead of them being a facility. And I get it, because it's like there's always hope, but I don't think that they need to change the laws of those type of parents that get accused of educational neglect and the child don't know what's going on. That's not right, you know. So and just in general, why should a parent have an ACS case because the child not going to school? That should be a choice. Maybe they don't want their kid in school. Maybe they have a family business and that child don't need no, and that's a lot of foreigners. A lot of the Pakistani, Indian, whatever, they have businesses, right? They have generational wealth. So their child or children don't need a high school diploma. They have a store, right? Now the other Indians, the other half of the race, they you have a few of them that they want their kids to be doctors and stuff like that. But for the most part, they their wealth comes from generational businesses, generational wealth. So they don't necessarily need school, so I think that's what should change in Department of Education. Make it more of a choice. Stop forcing people to go to school, and you need a remote option. Because to be honest, from kindergarten to college, everything is YouTube now. I've learned more things on YouTube than I did in my actual classes. And most of my professors use YouTube videos in the lecture. And most of the things that you learn and whatever is from the internet. So it's like, okay, if college has online classes, I don't see why high school shouldn't. And those are my thoughts.